We're live in studio again. A pleasant good afternoon to all the friends and family that are able to tune in to this really special episode. You're gonna hear from a legend. I'm gonna call him a legend because I have so much respect for this gentleman. He is currently world record holder for the Masters in the 400-meter hurdles. And when I say Masters, it's from age 55 and above. And I'm just going to let you know that I'm going to just go ahead and declare that the 400 hurdles is one of the toughest events on the track. And anytime you could find somebody that, especially, um, this gentleman here that we have in studio today that has mastered the event. He has mastered the event that he has I set world record, and he still, have many more world record, on the track. So we want to just, welcome you, and we're just really excited. I am always excited, because my passion for running the hurdles, and I am inspired by all of his accomplishment. So before you hear some of this legacy and some of the accomplishment, we're gonna let Mr. Ian Thomas. He just disappeared right away, but he'll be right back on. So just before he comes back on again, I'm just gonna go ahead and let Tony introduce himself and just. Here we go. Let's make sure that he is fully up and running. For we're still waiting on him, but we're gonna just go right along. He come right in. So Tony, just introduce yourself. Just tell us your full name and just give us a little 90-second version of an introduction.
Okay, my name is really Getulio Tony Gonzalez. My parents never gave me a middle name. I don't know why. My friends call me Tony because obviously my first name is very difficult for a lot of people. When I was a kid, other friends called me Junior. So until my college career was over, most people know me as Junior. Then my family knows me as Tutito in Puerto Rico, so I have another name. So I go by various names, but I'm a master's track and field athlete. I've been competing since 2005. I worked in luxury construction, building high-end homes and apartments here in South Florida. I did something similar in New York for many years. I have 3 kids, 2 sons and a daughter. Both my sons run my events because they felt that since they see me do it, that's what they should do. And my daughter's autistic, but she's also extremely athletic. And if you could bring it to the track, she just takes off. So it's also really cool. Other than that, I'm just a regular guy. So.
All right, man. That's really excellent, man. Thanks for that great introduction. As I said, he has started the legacy in his family, and it's always a pleasure when you see your kids, doing something that you're doing, and they, really, find that passion, and you could pass some of the knowledge over. So let's talk to Mr. Ian Thomas, sir. Welcome.
All right, good afternoon again to all our fans. I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone. I know a lot of us could not have waited much longer for us to turn a new sheet on that calendar to turn over into a new year. It's been a rough year for many. The pandemic have affected so many things involving even our sports. Our Olympics and a lot of games got affected. And right now I'm over in Jamaica, so I just want to give a shout out to all our fans who are watching from Jamaica. And it's a pleasure to be here. So the internet may be a little bit scrappy, but I'll see how well we finish. But the thing is, I'm gonna stay in the race as long as I can, and we're just pleased to have here Mr. Tony Gonzalez. A world athlete, world record holder. I know Ian must have mentioned that already. And we are just pleased here at Ian and Ian Real Talk to have, such a champion athlete, with us this afternoon, who will share his journey. So, Mr. Gonzalez, first, I just want to ask, at what age you started, to see, guess what? it is in you. I know all of us start running, but then when you really believe that, yes, I got it.
You know, I grew up in Brooklyn, real rough part of Brooklyn, Sunset Park. And back then, we only had maybe like 9 channels on TV. We didn't watch much TV. So we would go out to the street to play tag or Coco Olivio, like games in the street, football between the cars, basketball. And in the neighborhoods, everybody wanted to be the fastest or the strongest or the tallest or something that they can be identified from, since we didn't have shit. So for me, I was greedy. I wanted all the titles. So I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be the fastest. I wanted to be the strongest. And, you know, just being like the little kid, you know, you grow up and you compete against people, and you start to see within yourself, you know, that, hey, you know, I am a little bit faster than everybody else. And, hey, I am a little bit stronger than everybody else. And, you know, I caught the eye of this Albanian gentleman, Tommy Sina, and he taught me basketball, believe it or not. He was a really great basketball player, and he taught me basketball. And he brought me to a CYO church, a Catholic youth organization, St. Rose of Lima in Brooklyn. And they put me on the basketball team. And it was a little bit awkward because I was a big kid, but I didn't really play basketball. And that night, I didn't have white socks, so I wore my aunt's blue socks. So they made a little bit of fun of me. So I got a little bit tough because I wasn't, I didn't like to be made fun of. But I learned the game of basketball, and that was a lot of fun to me. One of the things that I could do, I got a hell of a lot of rebounds. So I would throw the rebounds to the guards and then chase them down the court. And a lot of times they would miss the layup on an open layup. So as soon as they missed the layup, I had raced down court already. So I caught the ball and put it back in. I called it garbage points. So I got a lot of garbage points because I could race up and down the track. I mean, the basketball court. And I could jump fairly high as well, which was another attribute that I didn't realize that I had, but I could jump really well, which are two things that really go along with sprinting. And then one day at a basketball game, there was a guy named Tippy, and he ran the Holy Ghost or something like that, or St. Innocence in Brooklyn track team. And one day he was sitting next to my mother, and he said to my mother, that kid is fast. And he goes, he should run track. And my mother's like, oh, yeah, that's my son, He goes, oh, think you'd be interested in running a race? And she was like, yeah, talk to him. He's game for anything. And I really was. I mean, I was a street kid. I started sneaking on the subway as a 9-year-old. I mean, we did crazy shit. So I tried track. What the hell? I had nothing to lose. So I loved basketball. Didn't care much for baseball. And we went to a track meet up, I think, in Van Cortlandt Park in the Bronx. And it was a dirt track, the old dirt black tracks, And I was clueless. I knew nothing what to do. And the guy gave me these Puma spikes that have 4 like 1-inch spikes in them, I guess, to run in the dirt. And I didn't know to warm up. I just put the spikes on and gave me a T-shirt. And I was going to run the 200. And I was okay, what do I do? And he just said, just beat everybody to the string. So I was like, that's it? And he goes, yeah. I said, okay, I think I could do this, So I went and I stood with a group of young guys. And they started to do something that I can't stand. They started to hero worship. There was this one young kid, and he looked like an athlete. He looked like a track guy. And, he had the legs and the whole thing. And, he moved like an athlete, And right away, they were like, oh, you're going to beat us and all this other things. And, in basketball, I was like a bit of a star. So I had an ego, and I always have had a small ego. And I was thinking to myself, he ain't going to beat me. I'm not letting this guy beat me. This is bullshit. They should be kissing my ass. They don't know who I am or whatever. And, but I didn't know really what to do. So as we stood there and we were getting ready for the race, I didn't warm up or anything. I just stood there in these big red Puma spikes. I said, I'm just going to go behind the guy. And then we get to I'm just going to run past them. That's all I could think of. I didn't have a strategy, as Ian will tell you, in track and field, you have to have a strategy. But that was my innocence and my idea of a strategy. So we went, they just stood us up in the dirt, and the guy said, on your mark, set, and blew the gun. And I did exactly what I said. I ran right up to this guy's back, But I realized that, man, he was moving too slow. So as soon as we came off the curb, I just kind of blew by him. And I got to the string, broke the little string, and won. And there was no big deal about it. And then the guy Tippy came, said, "Oh, you just set the 8th grade record or something like that." I think it was like 23 seconds. I don't know. So I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, man. You know, I went to go sit next to my mother. I mean, I don't know what else to do." So that was really my first track and field experience. And then I went back and played basketball. But I had it in the back of my mind that was a sport I wouldn't mind doing if I ever came to it. So then I went actually to high school on a basketball scholarship. I played with the infamous Chris Mullins in high school. He went to Powell Memorial and transferred to our school, Severian, which was a very good school academically. So my mom was happy about that. But I liked the idea because it was an all-boys school. And me coming out of public school, I basically fought every day. I mean, every day we had fights. And I liked fighting. So I thought, wow, what better than to go to all-boys school? We're going to be beating the shit out of each other all day long. But they weren't those type of boys. They were more academic boys. So I was told by my mother when I was leaving for school the first day, and I used to have to take 2 buses or the train or a bus. And she stopped me at the door and she said, "You know, Junior, keep your hands to yourself. If you can keep your hands to yourself, you'll be okay. Don't hit anybody." And I was like, "Oh my," you know, and I went to school. But in high school, they wanted to see who the athletes was. So they had like an Olympic day. We had 10 events. And I know it was like the 100, the 200, the high jump. It was the free throw, football throw. It was like 10 different events, and I won 8 of them, you know? So again, I had a number of different coaches. One was the track coach, Frank McCarthy, Mr. McCarthy, real good guy. And but I was there for basketball, so I started to play basketball, and I was in the school now with a whole bunch of other really great basketball players. The school was all about basketball. They were building a program. So, you know, you had to find your place, and it was difficult for me because in my mind, my personality is a doer. So if, you know, we need somebody to score or we need somebody to pass or we need somebody to rebound, I take that responsibility to kind of alleviate everybody else to do what they do. But in this instance, everybody could do everything. So there really was no use for me. And so my freshman year was okay, but my junior year, my sophomore year, I came out really well. And we took second in the city. We lost to Cardinal Hayes, and I was MVP of the team. So I thought for sure going into my junior year that I would start on the team. And as things worked out and the politics of sports, because there's always politics in sports and people's perceptions, I probably played my junior year total time, maybe 2 minutes, the whole year. So I went from MVP to sitting down and watching basketball, which tore me up as a kid. That really tore me up. And, you know, I dealt with it as best I could, but I was a kid and I blamed myself. So I used to go to basketball practice, do my homework on the bus, and then sneak into my church to practice basketball at night. Right? I felt that I wasn't doing enough. And then I go to practice with the team, and you know, any play that they set up, I would break. So if they were working on the type of defense, I would break the defense. And if they were working on a type of offense, I would break the offense. So I graduated to literally not even being allowed to practice with the team. So I just had to go to practice and sit down because I guess I was messing things up by kind of being dominating. So I sat down. I didn't even play in practice. And that's when I had enough. And ironically, one day in the locker room, it was a couple of basketball players and myself and the basketball coach and the track coach, Mr. McCartney. And we had run 200s in the beginning of the year, and everybody kind of dogged them out. And one day, you know, they kept telling me to slow down. I said, but I am slow, and I can't go any slower than this, guys, you know, because we're jogging. And it really was. I just wasn't taxed by what we were doing. So one day, one of the guys challenged me. He said, "Look, you want to sprint? Let's sprint." So we sprinted the 200, and you know, he was like, "You want to sprint?" And as we ran, he's like, "Oh, you want to sprint? You want to sprint?" And I just said to him, "That's not sprinting. This is sprinting." And I just took off, and everybody stopped. And they were like, "Holy shit," you know. And so they said, "You know, what would you do with a guy who could run, you know, repeat 23s in practice in a 200 in dirt?" The track coach said, I'll make him a quarter mile and get him a scholarship to school. And my family didn't have the money. So I when everybody left, I went to the office and talked to the track coach. And he had always asked me to run. And I said, the hell with it, man, I'll run. So that's how I got into track and field. So the end of my junior year in high school, I started to run. And I started to hurdle because I noticed that the hurdlers, they would bring the hurdles out, go over the hurdles a couple of times, and then leave. And I thought, okay, I could do that. So that's how I started to hurdle. But nobody really formally taught me how to hurdle. And but I hung out with the guys who were hurdlers who ended up being good. They were champions in the city. One of the guys had a full scholarship to the University of Pennsylvania. John Kelly was a good hurdler. He had the school record, ironically. And so I ran with them. My first race ever running intermediate hurdles, I ran 57 point. And that was not bad, I guess, as a junior. And then by the summertime, I ran in the Empire State Games, and I broke my school record. So I broke John's record. And then I ran my senior year, but I was the only sprinter. And that was a team full of distance guys. It was tough, So if we ran a relay and we wanted to make like Milrose, I'd had to anchor in Manhattan College and run some kind of ridiculous time for us to just make it. And then when we did make it, I would lead the lead off and then lead off in first, and we would lose the position by the end of the race. So that was it. So that was my high school career. And at the Empire State Games, that's really where my life changed as far as track and field is concerned. And Empire State Games was like a New York State Olympics. Mr. Warren Ring, excellent guy. He passed away. He was actually an official in the Atlanta Olympics. Him and Mr. Vasquez, they were two track and field official icons in New York City. My father had coached Mr. Ring's son in basketball. Am I talking too much? Or am I supposed to?
No. Go ahead. Good. No, we I said this is about you. This is about you.
Okay.
Yeah. So we.
All right. What's the show? So Mr. Ring, my father coached Mr. Ring's son in basketball, and Mr. Ring knew me from the CYO, and he was happy I was running, believe it or not. And he came and got me one day, and he walked me over to my coach, Remy Korchemny, and he said, "You stay with this guy. He's going to teach you how to run. You stay with him." So I was like, "Okay." So then Remy gave me some drills to do, which I did all wrong, and he worked me a little bit, and I made the finals. So I ran like maybe 57 in the semifinals or the trials. And then I ran 55 low in the finals and broke my school record. And that's how I started with my coach. And then, I ran okay senior year, but they would do crazy workouts like 2400s and things like that just killed me, man. I used to go to races just dead tired, because they didn't know what to do with me. So, but my first race was a 200, and you had to earn your silks, which is your uniform, your varsity uniform, and your sweats. And my first race, I got both. And I got recruited some Division II schools, some minor Division I school. Well, not really. Manhattan College had a good team back then. And the last school to call me was Pratt Institute. That's where my coach Remy was at. And Pratt ended up having this incredible team for Division II school. We beat Villanova in a sprint medley at what the hell is that? The Penn Relays, which was
Penn
crazy.
Relays. Okay.
Yeah. So he called me up and wanted me to come, and I told him, no, I'm not interested. I'd like to go away. And we spent the day together. And at the end of the day, I said, okay, I'll come to Pratt, And that's how it started for me. And met Ram, and that changed really track and field and really the science of the sport, actual real knowledge of biomechanics and plyometrics. I mean, the stuff that we did, it's funny. Maybe 5 years ago, I was in Alpharetta, Georgia, maybe 6 years ago. And I went to see some high school. I was training at a high school, and I was watching this whole high school team warming up. And they were doing all my drills. And I was like, no, these are specific drills. These are not something people got out of a book or anything like that. So I called up Remy, and I was like, Rem, I'm watching these people do our drills. How do they know our drills? And he's like, you know how many Nike camps I've done? I've done so many Nike camps. And it's so true, because I've watched track and field evolve, but, being at the forefront with a guy who is incredibly knowledgeable, Wilbur Ross, another great hurdle coach. Worked a little bit with him in Puerto Rico, saw him in Puerto Rico. He had great knowledge of hurdling and sprinting. Remy has great knowledge of hurdling and sprinting. Fred Thompson, who was the coach of the Adams track team, I used to train with Grace Jackson. Fred was an incredible learner, teacher, motivator. You know, all these guys, elite, the best of the best. I don't give a shit who you are, where you come from, what's your degree. These guys would take nobodies and make them great athletes. That's a sign of a real coach. You know, everybody wants to coach the kid who's already good, but when they take nobodies and they make them into good or great athletes, there's a few people in track and field. You know as well as I do. And this is very, what they're doing in Jamaica. It used to be the old Jamaicans would go to the States, right? Now you don't even have to leave Jamaica because you got great coaching in Jamaica. Now the American kids want to go to Jamaica to learn how to sprint. So imagine that. But so that's how I started. And then I met Remy, and I made the mistake one day of hurdling with my left leg, because instead of chopping, I would get to one hurdle in my race, like the 6th or 7th or 8th hurdle, and I would go over with my left leg, so I didn't have to break stride, because I hated breaking stride because you lose all that momentum, inertia. It just messes you up. So one of the athletes, Douglas Kane, who's a 13-point high hurdler, he's like, Rem, I just saw a junior hurdle with his left leg. And Remy asked me, did you do that? I said, yeah, because I get to this point where I don't want to break my stride. So and then I became an alternator. So I learned to alternate flawlessly. Sometimes I think that my left leg is better than my right. I don't know. But so I just right away worked right to training, thousands of drills, left, until I could start to write with my left hand, drive with my left foot. You just become second nature from repetition. So that's how I got it. So then I went to college. They got rid of
hold it right there, Tony. Let's make sure we get we don't miss anything. You gave us quite a good summary of your high school career, and you move on to college, and we talk about you starting the hurdles, just jumping over things, and so we know that basketball was your first sport, and then you move over to track. So in terms of your collegiate career, I think where you're at in your collegiate career, you went to college, and I said you're pretty good hurdling with both legs. Tell us, and you got young viewers that's watching this. Just tell us the advantage of hurdling with both legs in the hurdles. What would you say the advantage of able to hurdle with both legs?
Well, when you're hurdling with both legs, you don't have to chop your stride. And when you chop your stride, what I mean is you take a stutter step. When you take a stutter step, you give up your energy, you give up your inertia, you give up your movement, and you have to actually start to run all over again. Well, imagine in our race, 10 hurdles, doing that mistake. And it's ironic because we'll talk it later in my world record breaking race. Winston broke 3 times. And, as you get older, it's not that you recognize when you break, but you recognize when the athletes around you break. And I guess that might be akin to being if you're in Kung Fu master, like the master can sense things, So I'm doing it so long, I can tell what the other athletes are doing near me, if they're near me, and in that instance. So anyway, if you break stride, you lose all that inertia and your energy. So now you have to start running all over again. Well, it might work okay in the first part of the race, the first 100, 150 meters. But when you get past the 250 and the 300, anytime that you break form, you chop and you have to start all over. That's double indemnity. You cannot make up that speed and inertia that you lost. So you'll see some athletes just give up, or some of them will struggle to the line, but they're not fluid. They lose that fluidity. So that's part of a thing. So, but if you learn to alternate, then whatever leg gets to the hurdle, that's the one you go over with. And you have to be confident in both. And when you can master both, it's a huge difference. I'll give you, for instance, my freshman year of college, I didn't want to accept alternating. So I kept running 55 hurdles. And my coach, Remy, said to me, we had made up a strategy that I was going to run 6 hurdles, I think, in 14 steps, and the last 4 hurdles in 15 steps. And I just wouldn't do it. I just didn't see myself doing it, and I didn't do what he told me. We got to our race in St. John's, and he said to me, if you don't do what I tell you to do, then you are not running the hurdles anymore. I don't care what the result is at the end. I want you to run 14 steps over the first 6 hurdles. So I thought, I'm sorry about that, people texted me. So I was like, okay, fine. Close that window out. So I thought about it. I concentrated on it prior the night before. I put it in my head that no matter what happens, I'm going to run 14 steps over the hurdles. And the next day, I did exactly what he told me to do. And I dropped literally from 55 seconds to 52 seconds, just with that one change. That's how good it really was. So,
So I know some of the viewers that's listening, knowing they might not, wish to try to alternate, but you see the big improvement just able to keep your speed going. I know as a hurdler, even though I alternate, I still has a rhythm. So for you, what was your stride pattern naturally?
Well, when I got to my best shape, I would run the first 3 hurdles in 13 steps. I would run the next 4 hurdles in 14 steps, and I'd run the last 3 hurdles in 15 steps. Always wanting to be on the last straightaway on my right leg, which was the stronger leg. So whenever you are going to do a stride pattern, you want to finish, no matter how you break, you want to finish on your strongest leg, especially towards the end. There's a huge difference in running, 47 point over the hurdles and then running 51. You could run the same strides, but there's an effort. And Edward Moses established that 13 step way before everybody else, because he understood he can maintain it, but there is an economy of energy in a stride pattern. And the economy of energy in a stride pattern is what is your ability to maintain this stride pattern, but not only the stride pattern, the speed. Because your stride doesn't come because you overstride or you send your legs apart. The stride pattern comes from the amount of force that you apply on the track so that you can run that comfortably. So, I was not as talented as Edward Moses and Harold Schmidt and Danny Harris. So I could not do 13 steps all around the track, but I could do 13 steps comfortably on the first straightaway coming off the curve. I can run 14 steps very comfortably. And of course, you're starting to lose your energy. So when you go to 15 steps, because you're reducing. Now, if you have to go into a race, as you know, or as you get better and older, knowing what your stride pattern is before you execute it. Because if you try to alternate your strategy during the race, there's a good chance that you're going to mess up. And when you try to overstride, understand you're going to give away a lot of speed. And if you start chopping, understand you're going to give a lot of speed away. So there's an effort that has to be done. And this is where practice comes in, because in practice, you have to do this repetitively. And one of the things that I love about Remy, and Remy was so brilliant, was we never make the same effort in practice as we do in a race. So what we would do is move the hurdles in. So hurdle 1 always stayed on the mark, but hurdle 2, we might move in 2 or 3 steps. So if we moved in hurdle, and if I was doing 5 hurdles, the next 4 hurdles would move in 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So now if I'm running 13 steps, 14 steps, whatever it is, I could run them comfortably. And then the days that we worked on speed, well, I'd move them in 3 feet and I'd lower them down 3 inches. So that I worked only on speed over the hurdles, not on form. And the days that I worked on strength, well, then we would, I would run the first 200 without any hurdles. And then I would run the last 6 hurdles. When I always added, even today in my training, I add a hurdle 5 meters from the finish line. So that makes me run to the finish line knowing I still have to maintain a stride pattern to the finish line. So I've always trained, I've never trained 10 hurdles. I've trained always 11. There's always an 11th hurdle. I don't actually go over them all the time, but even in a 500, I will run a 500 meters and put up 4 hurdles. and have to run the hell out of the last 100 over the hurdles. So, even at this age, I probably would do it where I run the first quarter in 60. Well, that's not even true. That's a lie, because what I've done is when I go for world records still, and I don't know how I do this, I can still go run that first quarter in 56 and then run the last 100 in 14 or 15 over the hurdles,
Yeah. So hold a second. So let me ask you a question, Tony, because we're talking about workouts and we're talking about stride pattern. Just from a former athlete standpoint, what would be one of your favorite workouts that you normally do leading up to competition? I know all the workouts are tough, but what's your favorite workout as a hurdler and then also as a flat runner?
Okay. Favorite workouts. Well, after, this is always towards the end of the year, I like the workouts better, because I don't know, with me personally, like right now, I'm doing 5 times quarter, and I saw you did 5 times quarter. I said, okay, I'm not the only idiot doing this, because people post their workouts all the time, and they're all doing 150s.
Yeah.
150 and run the quarter. I'm sorry, my friend, it doesn't work. Yeah, you can run it, but you're not going to run it effectively. So this is a workout that, for the life of me, I have learned, but I still can't understand. Many years ago with my coach, I had to run 2 quarters, 10 minutes rest, 8 or 10 minutes rest. So he says, all right, I want him under 51. So I'm like, okay. Now, this is not now. This is when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
So I run the first one in 50.6 maybe. Then I run the second one in 50.4. He goes, okay, you should run this weekend 50.60 something in the hurdles. So I'm like, well, how the hell does that even translate, And he went into VO2 max and all that stuff. At the time, I was still a little naive. And I went to the race and I ran 50.63 electronics. So I was like, holy shit, wow, what an effective workout. It worked for me. So it worked. Workouts, there was a time when I liked running those 300, 100 splits, running them in, you'd run in 33, 34, come back and run 112 or 13. You could run a 46 quarter, that, and always, not once. I always like to do it twice, because I'm more strength speed guy. So if I could do that twice, I know I'm going to go to race and run a 46 quarter, And now that I'm older, I still do it, but I prefer to do my 500s. I don't think anybody runs more 500s than I do. And I do a lot of 500s. So I like doing my 500s where I go through the quarter in 56, and I'll run that last 100 in under 14, And if I could do those and I do them twice, you lost that week.
You're ready. All right. So that's awesome. So it's always awesome. Do you have a favorite lane that you like to run in, or if you prefer to run on the inside or outside? I run professionally for many years, and you get to the point where I could almost predict what lane I'm going to run in at some of the meets, because I know the policy and procedure. So if you can't think that you're gonna go. All the medalists from the previous year, they're gonna be in the middle lane. So if you're not a medalist, you got to realize that, I got 4 lanes to choose from, and it's either 1, 2, 7, or 8.
Right.
So one of the things that we always discuss with your agent, and many athletes could do that look, if you're in the meeting and it comes down to 1 or 8, put me in 8. Because I'm just like, I feel like I can't perform just as good as in 5 or 6 when I'm in 8.
Right.
So that's why I asked you that question. And it can change. You got some years where you start to feel better on the inside, and then you got some years where you're much better on the outside.
Well, I agree with you. When I was younger and I ran internationally, I would run in these international meets in Venezuela, believe it or not. They were really fun. We ran Lago Wayne, Venaloom, like it was an oil company or mineral company. But since it was South America back then, it was watered down. So I always got like 3, 4, or 5, or 6. So I could, with a 50 point, you could win. You know what I mean? So I always prefer, though, the truth, the middle, 4 to 6. The reason why is, as an older guy, when you're younger, it's a business. There's a lot of animosity. It's, a lot of bullshit. And sometimes you lose out on focusing on the run because you got to chase the guy for your money. You got to make sure you got a lane. You got to know if you're getting on the bus to the next race or the train or the plane, whatever it is. You got to know if you got someplace to eat. And as an older athlete, I prefer the middle of the track because I'm more relaxed now. Let's face it. I mean, Masters is easier than running international. I got an issue with a lot of Masters athletes who think that, oh wow, if I would have ran when I was young, I would have been this incredible athlete. Even they use a formula to show whatever your results are, what it's equivalent to. Listen, I never ran 47 for the hurdle. So even though as an old guy, I'm probably running, with my last race, I'm the only 50-year-old man in the world who can run under 60, and I do that by 3 or 4 seconds. So for 400 hurdles, I wasn't running 43 hurdles, nobody has. So that model they use really doesn't work. But I like the middle of the track because it's not so much that I run off of anybody or anything, but I can sense the athletes around me better. In the hurdles, unfortunately, for a lot of years, I had to run by myself. So that's why I started to run the quarter more because I wanted to have more competition. But I prefer the middle lanes. Plus, in every single world championship that I've ever run, and I've run in them since 2005, always in the preliminaries, never fails, I have lane 1 or 8. And I hate both of those lanes personally. But I've had them every single preliminary in every single world championship I've run. So, and I've run a whole bunch of them. And I've always got those lanes. But I always liked by the semis, I was back in the middle of the track. That part I liked.
Okay.
So that's
All right. All right. That's awesome, man. So, we always know that I pretty much everyone liked to run in the middle of the track because
Right.
you could feel people from the inside, feel people from the outside. So my favorite middle lane for me would be lane 5. I prefer to, and it's always based on the 6th hurdle. If it's one hurdle that I have to be focused on for the whole race, it's the 6th hurdle because I feel like going into the second curve, you tend to have you could slow down going into the curve, and then you can pretty much your steps could get messed up for a point because it's good to alternate, but if I alternate and I'm always going to be better with one leg because you're talking about 20 years to because when I started out I was a one leg hurdler, then you eventually start using both leg when you figure out, oh man, I need to cut my time down. It doesn't make sense. I'm getting faster between hurdles. So how can I either go from 15 to 13 or you're going to go 14? So I always like that 6th hurdle that I have to, so I like to see the hurdle. I don't like to run into it blind. I know it's there and the hurdle doesn't move. But again, some of that stuff is more mental, because, the herd is, as I said, don't move, but you tend to, for me, when I see it, when I'm on the outside, I'm able to see it more than sometimes when I'm on the inside, So that's my whole thing. So we're gonna move right along, and get into.
If I can say something about the point that you said, I also the 6th hurdle is my wake up hurdle. You know what I mean? Because it used to be when I started running Masters again, I started at 14 steps and I changed to 15 steps. Now I'm right at my age, and I run 15 steps to 5. Between 5 and 6, I run 16 steps. But I do it in a way to accelerate or not de-accelerate as much because so now I know going to the 6, that's when I have to start picking it up, believe it or not, and not falling asleep. So yeah, I agree, the 6th hurdle. One last stupid thing. Actually, my greatest or my second greatest Masters race was run out of lane 1, believe it or not. But a good track. I ran at Icon Stadium in New York, and my friend Lou Vasquez, great guy. He runs the stadium, so he always let me train there. Believe it or not, so I love that track. It's my favorite track in the whole world, and I know it intimately. I put myself in. I was 50 or 51. I think 51. 50, 51. And I put myself in the club, the club relays that they have, a championship. So they have a 400 hurdles. So I said, hey, man, the hell with it. I'll run it. Now, when you turn 50, the hurdles go down to 33 inches.
Okay.
But in that race, I ran with the young kids. So that I ran at 56 inches. And I'd still, do my drills at 36 inches and stuff. I'm sorry, the hurdle. And I don't know what, I was just plugged in that day and ran. And I didn't want to be last because I was in heat 2. There was 3 heats. I don't even know what the hell I was doing in heat 2. But I didn't want to be last. I think third to last or something. And I ran 56.93 as a 51-year-old. And I think I shocked myself. That's for shit show. But I shocked like even the other athletes. And like one kid said, "Boy, that was a hell of a good race, old man." Like that, like old man. I was older than that. But that was actually one of my favorite races. The only thing I got in trouble with was I hadn't not gauged myself. I just wanted to run like under 50, under 60, under 58, just to get in a race because I was still getting prepared for world championships. And the world record for men my age at 33-inch hurdles is 56.56. I ran 36-inch hurdles and I ran 56.93, and my coach was very upset. He goes, "If you ran to the line, you have the world record, So I was like, "Yep, you're right. I wasn't really paying attention. I just didn't want to be last in the race." And that was only my only successful lane 1 story.
All right, so we're gonna go into we're gonna get into some more of your most recent accomplishment, and so obviously, as I said, guys, Tony here, he's a world record holder. So before I ask you any question, tell us what it means for you being a world record holder. Just here every time you run, how does that feeling when the announcer says Tony Gonzalez from the USA world record holder in the 400-meter hurdles? Just tell us what that means to you on a personal level.
It means I got to go to work on Monday. No, sometimes it don't sink in because I'm still racing. I don't want that to be my swan song.
Okay.
So it's real nice, but I'm still racing. I still got some goals in my head. It's always really nice, to tell you the truth. Sometimes I don't really think it's me. This whole Masters track that I've been doing has shocked me more, I think, than anybody else. Even like, coming back after 14 years of not running and be able to run a 49 quarter, I just, even my coach said, "Oh, you'll never break 50, and a year later I ran 49, and so that was shocking. It's real cool.
All right. I mean, look, if you want, if I know it's always difficult. I'm telling you that it's hard for me to talk about my accomplishment about myself, but it's for me, as I said, it's very inspirational for just to see, especially more recently. It's always good when you see records that was set like in 1 year or 2 years ago. Then it's more scary when you look at a record, and it's like, man, it's been there for 25, 30 years. Am I going to have a chance to break it? So from an athlete perspective, I'm looking at it. Well, I know Kevin Young, he was on this program a couple months ago, and he has one of the longest standing world record. I can't do the maths, but from 1992 to now, I think got to be around 28 years.
29 years.
Yeah, 29 years. So, so it's very good that the record could last that long. That means it's not easily be broken. It was a great record. So, one of I know that. So, just tell us what other goals do you have just getting into this number one, why did you do the masters? Let's talk about what was the inspiration and about you just say, you know what, I'm gonna continue to do this masters, and just tell us exactly when did you start it.
Um, I'm a guy who tells the truth all the time. Unfortunately, sometimes I lie, and I'm good at lying and telling the truth. But my coach was involved in the Balco steroid thing. He didn't ever give anybody any steroids or drugs, but he did coach the athletes. And I love him like a father. He's like a father to me, more so than my own father. And when I was told about it, I was like, first somebody told me, Fred Thompson from the Adams called me up. He's like, Junior, did you see what's going on with Remy? And I thought immediately, oh my God, he must have had a heart attack or something. So he goes, no, go on Google. And I looked at Google and I saw it. I was like, what the hell is this? So I called him up and he was like, no, don't talk on the phone. Come to California, So I flew to California. I was in New York. And, you found out what craziness was actually going on. And I was playing basketball because I had gotten fat, like 230 pounds. And so I was playing basketball to keep my weight down. I was working a lot because I started a company, and I knew I would be with him. That means we were going to be on the track no matter what. So I brought some running stuff, not much, just old stuff I had. And we hung out. Of course, we went to train. He trained so many people that we'd gone to the high school, Logan High School, that we've been to many times training. He was training, and I just kind of went off to the side. I grabbed some hurdles that I hadn't touched in God, like 13 years. And I set them up. And since I played basketball, I knew I was in a little bit of shape, nothing crazy. I was going to run. And I just started doing some of the drills, Then I started doing some popping over the hurdles with trail legs. And then kind of went over the middle, took my time, felt really good, felt smooth. And he had come over to me. He goes, how long has it been since you hurdled? I said, man, it's got to be 13 years. So he said, you look really good. I said, thanks. I play a little basketball, but that rhythm is in my head. I could never. I love hurdling. You know what I mean? There's something in we all have an internal rhythm. Like when I hear salsa music, I dance. I love my cultural music. And that rhythm of hurdling I love, and I'm going to miss it when I don't have it anymore. So he's like, you should run masters. You should think about running masters. And I remember masters when I was younger as being these old crazy guys. And I was like, oh no, those guys are nuts, And he goes, no, it's changed, because he had been training some masters athletes, and so it's very competitive. You should think about it. So I thought about it, and then I was working with one of his hurdlers and correcting his. He gave me, Kevin. I think it was, forget his first name is Kevin, but he went to UCLA. Excellent 110-meter hurdle. So I mean, work with him on, tells Junior, what is he doing wrong? And he was coming off the hurdle, but bringing his swing arm and turning the shoulder, so we squared him off and everything. And I came back and I started to think about it. I started to go to the track. My friend Brady Crane, an excellent 200-meter runner, world class. He ran 20.03 back in the day. Beat Carl Lewis in one of the nationals and had made the USA team for Pan American Games. And started to train a little bit with his club, but it was the middle of the year. I was in no shape for it, so I stopped. And I said, if I'm going to do this, I got to do it right. So I was in Puerto Rico, and just when it came, I said, all right, August, I'm going to start. And I didn't start in August. So I said, okay, September, I'm going to start. And I started in September just to start to train. And man, that was really painful. I lost about 30 pounds. I lived on Motrin. Felt like I was running in mud. Had just pains everywhere. It was tough, but I'm a tough-minded person, and I made it through the year. So I ran. I went to the World Championships. That was it. So it was in Spain, San Sebastián, Spain, 2005. That was the goal, and it was really my favorite year because I had no expectation and nobody knew me. It was great. So I went to a championship meet in Puerto Rico because I ran for Puerto Rico, and my father was in the stands, and a guy said to him, oh, you see those guys in that race? They're going to finish like this. That guy's finishing first, that guy's finishing third, and that guy's finishing second. My father said, yeah, that's my son. The tall guy's my son. I think he's going to be in there with them, I dusted them, and then right away they were like, "Who the hell is this guy?" And it was funny because a lot of the officials were the same people involved in track and field when I was younger in Puerto Rico. But since I came from the States, they made it very difficult for me. They never welcomed me. They never ever let me really compete on the team. I never ran in a relay, like on B relays, and I would beat the A guy. So they really didn't want me there. That was, put it in a nutshell, they didn't want me, and that was fine. But now they're looking at me because they're like, all right, because masters, you don't have to make the team, you just got to show up. So they can't really do anything to me. And actually, they needed the bodies, So we didn't really talk. I kept my distance. I dealt with the Angulo, who was the head of Puerto Rican Masters. He was a good guy. He was a good gentleman. And I kept to myself, and that's how it started. So when we went to Spain, I made a simple goal, and I won my heat in the preliminaries, in the semis. And I just said, if I win this, I ain't doing this, man, because this is too easy. I haven't run for 13, 14 years. This is not going to be worth it. And we got to the finals, and I took second. Son of a bitch beat me. This guy from the U.S. beat me. And I was running 14 steps. You could see, when I got to hurdle 6, man, I was already dead, So I took second, which was fine. And during the medal presentation, since my last name is Basque, Spanish, and we were in the Basque regions of Spain, they pulled out the Basque flag for me. And I explained to them that I wasn't Basque, that I'm Puerto Rican, And that actually, people started to talk to me in the crowd. They said, oh my God, but you have a Basque name. I said, yeah, I'm Puerto Rican. So they didn't even have the Puerto Rican flag. I had to grab a Puerto Rican towel. And that's what I used as the flag for my medal presentation. And after that, I went and got a box of pastries, these really good pastries. I denied myself. And on my way to my room, I ate the whole box of pastry. It was good. And I said to myself, you know what? Damn, man, if I'm going to do this, I got to do it. These guys are serious. They're not fucking around. They're not messing around. I got to do this, So that's when I made the decision. Okay, I'm gonna invest the time and do this right. So that was the transition. And then the next year was fun still because nobody really knew what I looked like. But, I ran my first indoor season that year, and I tweaked my hamstring. So I went to U.S. Nationals, and I took second in the quarter, barely, But I ran really bad. I ran the first 100 like real slow because I didn't want to hurt the hamstring. I ran the inside 200 all out, and I tied up really bad and ugly at the finish line. And so that was my season. And then, there was Milrose, there was Penn Relays, and I was trying to get on the team. So I was trying with the Central Park. They told me no. Synergy told me no. Everybody told me no. So I was Sprint Force America was the guy, Frank, I made friends with him, but they had no M40 guys, So he's telling me, oh, recruit people. And I was like, recruit who? Nobody knows who the hell I am. How am I going to recruit people? Like the first time I went to, there was a guy who was a very good quarter miler. I forget his name. And I went to him, and he basically laughed at me, I said, no, would you like to run a relay? And he's like, no, man, I'm this guy, and I only run with the best. And I was like, okay, no problem, And I ended up beating him indoor nationals anyway. But my hamstring healed, and I ran in a race in Puerto Rico. I felt good. I won. Didn't think much of it. The year prior, I had run, my best quarter was 52.65. And that was a struggle. I did that in California. And not realizing it, I had run I didn't overdo anything indoors. And I was I guess I was running 52 low in the quarter. I didn't think of it. I'm not a real big fan of indoors, except for Milrose games. And at the end of the meet, it's Puerto Rico, so I'm helping clean up like all the other athletes because basically we run our own meet, so we clean up and we officiate and all the things. And I just turned to the guy who was the coach and I said, hey, man, would you get me in that quarter, And he goes, I had 51.5. So I was like, what? I said, no. So turned to another friend of mine. He goes, no, I had 51.3. I was like, no, man, I don't know 51. You guys got it wrong, So 2 weeks later, I'm working in California, and this is one of my funniest stories. in the Masters. I go into this meet. It's called Meet of Champions. It's in Long Beach, and I'm trying to join a club now. Southwest Sprinters is the club I run for. I love those guys. They're an excellent club. You're welcome in if you like. A great group of guys, I tell you. And
yeah.
So I run the 400 hurdles and I run the open 400 hurdles. And I hadn't been doing a lot of hurdle work yet. And man, I really kind of jogged it. I took third and I ran like 55 points. So I ran like a second faster without any effort. And I thought, wow, that was cool. So then I came back to run the 400 and I ran with the Masters. And right before I ran, a gentleman came up to me and said, oh, the guy in lane 5 will be the only guy who's going to give you any trouble. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know anything, but he's seen me. So I was like, oh, thanks. And you know, I'm sure you do the same thing. When I go to a track, I like to walk around the track. I like to get my bearings for the track, where I'm going to relax, where I'm going to run. You know, I have a strategy when I run. And they had real long turns, real long straights on that track, real tight turns. So I picked a mark on the straight. I said, okay, from here's where I'll accelerate. I always work on my finish. That's my main thing, to finish. So the gun goes off. We take off. This guy goes screaming down the first 200. I mean, he's moving. I don't ever sweat. I always have my own strategy. And I run. I get to my mark and I accelerate and I come up even with him. Now, you know, I got to feel his energy. You know, is he struggling or has he got another gear? How long do I stay with him before I start to make my move? So I step a little bit on the pedal to just get ahead of him to see if he can move with me. I noticed he couldn't. So I just accelerated a touch more to keep a little distance, but I still have another gear or two. And I finished the race. After the race, the guy finishes and starts taking a fit, kicking stuff and shit. And I was like, damn, you know, what's this about, you know? So I don't know anybody. So I start to walk to my bag. And as I'm walking to my bag, Mark Cleary, who's the head of US Masters, he runs up and almost grabs both my arms and says, you just beat Cottrell Berry. And I was like, who? He goes, you don't even know who he is? I said, no, man, I'm kind of new at this still. So I'm still, I don't know anybody, you know? So, and he runs away, you know, because now he's got, Cottrell's upset. And I'm like, damn. So my phone rings. There's a friend of mine that I just made friend, David Jones. And he's like, I heard you just beat Cottrell Berry. So I'm like, David, give me a favor. Who the hell's Cottrell Berry, you know? And he goes, he's national champ of 400 and 200. I said, oh, I didn't know that. Okay, yeah, I beat him. He goes, well, we want you to run for the club. I go, excellent, because I ain't got a club to run for, so I'd love to run for the club. So that's how I got on the Southwest. And Cottrell Berry's in jail now because he molested a child or something. But
all right, excellent. So let's move along and you know, in get a little bit deeper. What are some of the challenges you face? Just you being a Masters athlete, you know, just out there, you know, for people that might want to consider, you know, being an athlete, you know, what are some of the challenges you face just in terms of getting to meets, or if you do have any challenge, you might know. But
challenges, first of all, this is not your career. You know, I have a career and I work 6 days a week. So my spare time is doing this. Luckily, my kids are in college, so I'm not babysitting them. So your career goes first, of course, you know, so work, meetings, whatever, you know, sometimes I'll find I work late. I'll go to the gym instead of the track. You try to find the time, or I'll change my schedule where I'll start my training week on a Saturday. I saw Sunday, rather than having the whole day off, it's a training day. So it's Saturday and Sunday, and you take off a Friday. So one is, it's your career. Secondly is I have 4 herniated discs in my spine. So I deal with that a lot. I deal with a left hip issue that could be incredibly painful. As I get older, sciatica, sometimes my right leg will just turn off literally, and I'm moving it mentally, not physically. I get these mysterious cramps that will just come out of nowhere and grab in your pull. and 1 week later you're running again. So they're not major injuries, but they're inconveniences, and they don't allow me to tap into my full potential. So that's an issue, and I haven't discovered if it's something biochemically happened, nutritionally. The only thing I know, it has to do with nerve endings. So I attribute it to my herniated discs in my spine. So you do a lot of stretching when you're at home. I have that rack to hang upside down. I see a chiropractor when I can, because of work. I mean, I don't have. It's not like when you're younger. This is your job. You take care of yourself. But here, it's your hobby, and you do the best you can. Now, I've been lucky. I have some people here, Antonio, Jasmel, Dr. Drexel, that have been really, really gracious to me. Hector from Infinity, that I've gone to some sports clinics that have been really great to me. Dr. Ivan, that my son just flew from New York here to get a PRP injection and head back to California because he's having a little hamstring irritation. I wanted to take it. So, you have to find a balance. Sometimes I get home just enough to eat, go to sleep because I get up early for work. So that's part of the challenges. And then right now during this pandemic, finding a meet, I took off last year. And which sucked because I was coming off a real good year. So that usually translates, if you can keep it going, the momentum. And I couldn't find any races, so I stopped.
No, all right. Well, that's fair enough. So you talk about the challenge. Tell us a little bit about the benefits that you get from just being an athlete that, obviously you're, staying healthy, still working on your cardio, your heart rate, and your muscle. What are some of the benefits personally from you just being, still able to run masters at your age?
I think all the benefits that I have derived from this have really been mental and emotional. Mental, because there's days that, you're exhausted, man. You're tired. You're mentally fatigued from work. I deal with a lot of pressure. I work with billionaires. They're very demanding. Even now, I'm getting texts from clients, on a Sunday night. And I don't really share what I do. They look at me and they're like, "Oh, Tony, you're in really good shape. Do you run?" And I'm like, "Yeah. How many miles do you do a day?" And I'm like, "Probably 1 or 2. Like, really? You look like that? I said, "They're kind of fast miles, because I don't go to the track to do 50 repetitions of anything. I go and I do quality work, So mentally, when work could bring you down, or a relationship could bring you down, or people let you down, I got this guy, Junior Tony Getulio, who's going to take me to the track later on, and he's going to make me feel good about myself because I have some of my workouts and I feel 20 years old again, and I have more workouts where I feel 20 than I feel 50. So that's a good thing. And again, I run with a group of guys in Southwest that, I respect and admire and really adore the whole core, or the whole club, basically. I'm one of the original people, like I said. And, if Khalid calls me right now and says, "You know what? We're going to go break the world record at Millrose. I need you to run this leg." I appreciate him doing that for me, Or David calls me up and says, "Tom, we're going to go race in Houston and run this relay, You're going to lead off." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm cool." And I get ready mentally and physically, and I never let people down on the relay, or else I won't run the relay. I feel bad things about things. I want to go and I'm not prepared, So, those type of things make me feel good, It makes me feel good when people recognize who I am, to tell you the truth, because I am like a big mouth, but I'm actually shy, and I feel, I grew up real poor, so I'm incredibly humble. And if I get attention for things that I feel are not really merited, I feel shame, And I have a friend of mine who when he started to talk to me, and he's like, "Tony, man, you're really cool. I didn't expect it. I thought you were, because you look real standoffish." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You're like an elite master athlete, and guys like you usually don't talk to guys like me, but we're end up being good friends now to this day." I felt really ashamed that he felt like that, because I don't see anything different, I actually raced 2 or 3 weeks ago, And another friend of mine that I met in these races, he's like, Tony, I got to run the quarter, but I haven't really been training and stuff. What do you suggest? And I told him, this is the way I would run it if I was you right now. And he ended up being successful enough to win his heat. He came up to me and thanked me. Really, thanks for the advice. It really worked. So, things like that, the camaraderie, just that I still feel good about it, and that I have people that I race with that are like me. And I think overall has been really positive mentally and spiritually. It makes me feel good.
All right, awesome. It's good to hear that. So the next question is similar. How being an athlete make you a better person in your career? Now we talk about how your career, you was able to use it. So how?
This is a good question. Actually, good question. Well, I'm a very structured person. Very structured. So the reason why my training works is because what I've learned. I have a degree in finance, but I never really took many liberal art classes. I took 3 levels of calculus, quantitative analysis. I'm a very structured person. I'm a very math person. And my coach is like this too. So I learned that my training is I have 3 macro cycles per year. Within each macro cycle could be 10 to 12 microcycles. So my first macro cycle will be base, aerobic capacity. My second macro cycle will be speed endurance. And my last macro cycle will be speed hurdles. And then, get ready for racing. So I structure my training like this, and I do 4 weeks of a microcycle. Then I do a week of testing. I take those test results and I make up my next program, which my coach and I still do. He does mostly. I've only learned to do it. In work, I do construction management. So I manage people and projects. So whatever the project size, it could be 10,000 or it could be 20 million. I have to break down my blueprints, my subcontractors, contracts, start date, permitting. Everything is structured. And so I have tons of I keep a log of my training. I keep a journal of my projects, my permits. So I live in a very structured environment, believe it or not. That's what I prefer. So running has taught me what work is not. Well, when I finish a project, I feel fulfilled, it's an extension of me. And when I race and things come out the way I want them to come out, well, then again, it's an extension of me. So I always prefer to have excellence. It's probably why I do the type of construction that I do. It's a little bit tougher in Miami because people don't have the same values as I do, but in New York they do. In other parts of the country they do. So that's where running has helped my personal life and my career. They're very structured. Most people probably would not even know that part about me because I say crazy things and I do crazy things and I'll fight with anybody. But I am a structured person. Even when I train, I got to do the workout or else, Now, as I get older, I may on occasion, I won't do the last one because I'm feeling a little pain or something. But if not, no, I do the whole thing.
All right. So just looking at the outlook right now, how long do you see yourself continuing this career in the Masters?
I don't know. The world record kind of, I got cheated out of the M50 because I was in excellent shape. I would have ran 55, but 9 days before the World Championship, I got one of those little cramp pulls behind my left knee. And man, that I felt cheated. It really came down to this. I was doing my last rep of my last intense workout before the World Championship. I was just getting to my 10-day tapering off. My last rep, which I actually debated whether I was going to do it or not. And I said, the hell with it. I'm having a great workout. Let me do it. Boom, I get hurt. I go home and I'm addicted to rum. All my friends know that. So I have some rum and cokes and I'm wallowing in my agony. And I write on Facebook, I won't be going to the World Championships. And then I talk to a good friend and they give me this doctor and I go to this doctor and he does some work on me. And next thing I know, I feel good enough to run. I go to France and I run, and I wasn't at my best shape, but I won the hurdles, took third in the quarter, and that was a good thing. So I said to myself, I don't know. I don't know how long this thing will last. And so my body can't do it. But when I got the world record, I beat, there's a gentleman in Germany, Muller. This guy got all the records. He had all the records. He had every hurdle. Like other than I think King from M40 who ran 52 point or something. And I want to go after them records still, you know. My secret desire, and I only told this to like the personal friends, but you know, I'm on your podcast and everything. I would really like the opportunity this year. I'm turning 57 in May. I would like to run 57 hurdles at 57 years old.
Okay. So what are you? Where are you at right now? Just so we could have it for the record. What's your personal best now in the 400-meter hurdlers, which is the world record?
57.73 is the world record.
And your goal at 57 is to break 57 or run 57 seconds.
Run 57. Run 57. Because remember, I did it 2 years ago now, so we'll see. But here's another crazy thing. My base training has been phenomenal this year. Phenomenal. I ran hurt and still ran like a 56 quarter jogging. I didn't see any. I only saw somebody for the first 80 meters. The rest of it was just me. But my base training has been really, really good. And if I could stay healthy, I believe I could do it. Now, of course, you told me some bad news that Winston is retiring.
Yeah.
That was the big thing when I broke the world record. You know, I secretly said, "Hey, I think I could break the world record." You know, and I said it to a few people, but I say it again timidly. I think I could break the world record. But that was my desire. But when I saw that I was in the heat with Winston, I said, you know, the world record would be cool, but beating Winston would be better. And if I beat him, I could end up with the world record then because he was already running 57 hurdles. That's it, you know? Yeah. So I figure kill two birds with one stone. But me, being the way I am, I'd rather win the race. To tell you the truth. I jumped into the quarter at the same nationals, and my coach told me don't run the quarter, but I needed something just to spin my legs, you know. So I jumped in the quarter, and I'm lucky enough I won that, and I didn't get hurt, so I knew I was okay to run the hurdles.
All right, awesome. Well,
that's my personal goal, and I'd like to go after those 300-meter records if I can.
All right, sound good. So this is another two-part question. I know that before you retired from your earlier days, you know, you are 400-meter hurdler for life. So the younger Tony to the older Tony version, you know, what would you say that you learned about yourself now that you didn't know before in terms of being an athlete?
You know, the younger Tony had a lot of energy and a lot of power, but not too much smarts. You know, I only ran 1 year high school. I ran 1 year college, and then I was on my own. So anything that my coach put on paper, whatever, I broke my ass to do. And I definitely left 90% of my good races in practice. You know, I get to the meets dead tired, you know. Younger Tony dealt with a lot more adversities than the older Tony, personally and socially. The big difference between the two of us is I was young and impetuous, definitely reckless. Younger Tony was reckless. You don't even know. This nose has been broken 3 times. So the older Tony learned patience and stepped back since I had to start all over to understand really the sport, my body, when to give in and when to press. You know, when I was younger, I was pressing all the time. Bang, 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 till there was nothing left. Now, no, you know, if I feel something's going to go, I stop. I'll go rest. Nobody knows this except for one other person. I ran when I broke that world record, I ran injured and definitely not at 100%. It came down to a final day of training, whether or not I was even going to go. And because I was able to make it through that workout, I said, the hell with it. Now, we all want to say, yeah, I'm injured and everything, but I have a friend, Carl, he trains with me. He would definitely back up what I'm saying. So.
Well, I do understand. I'll tell you a little secret, even though you broke the world record. I was entered to come up there in Iowa for the Masters race, but again, picked up a little injury, and mine was probably about 4 weeks before, and I was like, man, you know, I'm not sure about this because you got to make plans, you got to get your traveler and all of this stuff, and so I pretty much said that's when I said, you know what, I'm gonna run that 400 because I was training for 3 months, so I was like, I got to get something out. But I was watching the results, and I said, we're gonna, since we're talking about Iowa right now, I want you to bring us back. We know that there was some obstacle. You almost undecided if you was gonna go. If you can recall, I mean, it's not. I believe it's 2019. It's not too long. So just tell us about what was the race like? Walk us back through the race, and what did you actually feel like you would have break the record before the race, and how did you feel afterwards?
An interesting question, and here's the real answers. I woke up early, stretched my back out, because I got those issues. So I spent about a good hour just straightening my back out. The day of that race, I probably felt the worst that I ever felt before any race. I didn't really even have the energy to do the warm-up. But I have learned one super valuable lesson over the years. I don't run the race the day of the race, especially a final, be it national championships or world championships. I run that race the week before. I run that race all through the week, and I run that race over and over and over again in my head the day before. And that's what I had done. I had already knew I'm going to 5 hurdles in 15. I'm going over 2 hurdles in 16. I'm going to finish out in 17. I'm going to accelerate from hurdle 6. It ain't going to matter what anybody else does. This is the way I'm running the race. It was already pre-programmed. And that's something I was taught by my coach. You have to go into that race knowing what you're going to do, or else you lost. Doesn't matter. So Winston is excellent hurdler, and so is Don Drummond. I'm disappointed John Drummond didn't keep running, because he's another very good intermediate hurdler. And so I felt really terrible in the warm-up. I usually go 2 times to the first hurdle out of the blocks, and then 1 or 2 times over 2 hurdles just to get my stride pattern down. That particular day, I went to the first hurdle 1 time. That was it. And I just said, you know what? I got to rest. As we got onto the track, I know Winston runs the 200. So he had lane 4, I had lane 5, or he had 5 and I had 6, something like that. Yeah. And I walked past him. He said, man, I haven't run a race. I'm excited to run a race, And I'm thinking, shit, man, I don't know where I'm at right now. But the only thing I knew was I had my strategy worked out. I can't say I felt like, oh man, I'm gonna tear ass today. I'm gonna kick some ass. I'm owning this mother. No, nothing. So when we took off, Winston went out real fast, and so did Don. And I had my 15 steps going quite comfortably, because my strategy is the following as well. And I said this to everybody: you don't win intermediate hurdles in the first 5 hurdles. You win intermediate hurdles in the last 3 hurdles, or setting up from the 5th hurdle on. So when we got to hurdle 5, Winston chopped. And in the video, it almost looks like he hooked the hurdle. I don't know. I'm not an official, but he chopped. And I felt his momentum. I felt his whole momentum and everything shift backwards. And I said, perfect. Got him. So I stayed to my 17 steps. On hurdle 8 again, I saw him go over the hurdle kind of like a lame duck. He came to the outside of the lane. You want a curve. You don't want to be on the outside of the curve. You want to be on the inside of the curve.
Yeah.
He landed again, and boom, I stepped up on him. But what I did was I used that momentum to carry me past him. And I knew getting to hurdle 7, I said, you got to pass this guy before the hurdle, or he's going to come into your lane. He's already wobbly, you know? So I made the biggest move between hurdle 9 and 10, which I barely just passed him as we were going over the hurdle. And if he came down, his momentum shifted him over towards me. Either he steps on the line or he steps over, but I could feel him, I could feel him just like an inch or two away from me, So I said, hey, man, you better get away from him, because if he comes down, he's going to take me with him, So that was it. And then when I got to the last step of the race, I was on my right leg and I felt a little tang in the right hamstring, a little bit of a tightening, little baby cramp things, But it was good, because again, my desire was to beat Winston, and because he's a good hurdler. I mean, not for nothing. It's nothing personal. I like Winston. He's a great guy, but he's one of the better hurdlers in the world, around my age, and I had the opportunity. I even thanked him, but he never responded. I think he was mad at me. But then when I turned around and walked back and saw 57, I was like, what the damn, man, because I mean, I've run 57s, but I jogged those for years because that's all I needed to do. But here I had to run it, But I was surprised. I was real happy about that. So that's really the truth. And then Latricia and another young lady, they came and congratulated me, and people congratulated me. But then I had to get ready because we were going after the world record for the M50 mile relay. And I knew that I had a little bit of a tight hamstring, so I put it in my pocket.
So, guys, that's the 2019 season. Was there any other major accomplishment in 2019 other than the world record that you love to share with us?
No, not in 2019. 2020 was one more accomplishment.
Okay. Yeah, well, let's move along. So 2020, I believe you guys have set another 4x4 world record indoor at the Melrose game. And, I know you got to be disappointed. That was in February, and coming March, we was in the pandemic. So tell us how, I'm just trying to figure out, being a Masters athlete, all you guys decide about who run what leg and what run that leg, and what was the plan, going into the race. I know you guys was obviously was going for the record. I know you guys probably talk about it, but what do you guys do as a team? Just for some of the younger viewers, and for us, to go out there and set the world record, and to organize the team and say who's going to run what leg, and just to make sure that everybody's fired up and musters, and you guys, sure, you guys keep in touch with each other to figure out, are you ready for this, man? And what do you guys do as a celebration too afterwards?
Well, we got cocaine and hookers after that race. So I'm
come on. Go ahead. Tell the truth.
What happens actually, like our club is serious people. You know what I mean? These are guys who they're passionate about it. Here on that relay, that was my gift. And I'll tell you why. I didn't realize it till afterwards. I was on the other world record setting team, but in that team, I was upset because I led off. And David Jones, good friend of mine, great runner, great competitor, had said to me, Tony, I need you to go out faster because I'm not feeling real well. And I was like, hey, no problem, And, I went out, we're leading the race, and Marcus Shute, another great quarter miler, member of the team for a long time. I'm handing it off to him. Well, he takes off as like a 4x1. So as I'm de-accelerating, now I got to accelerate and put the baton in his hand. That pissed me off. So as soon as the race was over, I'm moving on. I'm like, yo, Marcus, man, what the hell are you doing? And we didn't even have a chance to discuss because they're like, no, come back to the track, come back to the track. So we come back to the track and we set the world record. Well, in that world record effort, I had to run really fast. That was it. In this world record effort, I'm actually not 50 years old. I'm 56 years old. So I'm not an M50 athlete. I'm an M55 athlete. So, and I get the third leg. I never ever care what leg I run. My job, like always, is to help the team. So if they need me to run the first leg, I run the first, second, whatever. So I believe Khalid set up the relay. Khalid is an excellent athlete and a very serious guy. But you know, we're talking about four solid guys. Ed Winslow, the guy's just a beast. I mean, you know, you trust that guy with your life. That guy's he just business. Merrick, another guy, very serious, has a daughter in Iowa, is an incredible athlete in that. And I'm sure he's trained her, you know. Khalid's training on a treadmill. And even with that, he's, you know, the best quarter miler in the world for his age group, you know. So, you know, on this one, it's easy for me. I'm the third leg, so I'm the weak guy. I'm just in it for fun. But I get the phone call from Khalid, and at first we're told that they didn't count world records at middle. I don't know, it was some kind of crazy thing. But at the end of the day, we could get the record. So we all gear up. We go there. We run. We win. And here's the bad part. The announcers are trying to say, yeah, we're going for the M40 world record. Now we're in the group that's M40 to M59, so it's 40 to 59. What they don't realize is that none of us are 40 near 45. We're all 50 and 55-year-old men that have just beaten the crap out of all the M40, 45 clubs, you know? So they don't even acknowledge. They're like, oh, they're going for the M40 world record. And wasn't the case. We're going for the M50 world record. And we did it. So, you know, the official moves me off the track. So I'm trying to tell him, well, I'm going to stay here because we're going for the world record so we could take our picture next to the clock, you know. But for whatever reason, the guy wants to give me a hard time. I almost get into a fist fight with him. And luckily, one of the other officials who knew me was like, you know, back off. You know, Tony, come on up and take the picture with the guys, you know. So I didn't forget his face. I'll see him next time I'm in New York. But yeah. So and then afterwards, you know, we always go to a nice dinner together. We sit and we talk. You know, we as a nucleus, this group of guys, we've been running together for a number of years. And we've done this several times, you know, and we all appreciate it. We really, really like it a lot. It's in the club I run for, Southwest. It's always, you know, a good time and it's business, you know. Everybody who runs, like the team status right now is if you ran like USC or what the hell's another great college, Texas A&M. You know, the standard is there. If you're going to come and race on the team, you know that you got to be ready. And the teams that race against us, they know that, you know, they're going to have a little bit of a hard time. I've always been one, because we've actually acquired so many of the better sprinters, that we should race each other, you know. And we have. In 2014 at Nationals, we set up an M40 against an M45 team. And I ran on the M45 team and we won. And that was a lot of fun because it was a close race. It was a lot of fun.
So. All right, that's awesome. That's awesome, man. I'm really, really enjoying the legacy and the history. You know, and I said one of the goals on this program, we just try to educate and motivate, you know, and just to inspire, you know, others. So I know that there are probably people that, you know, want to get into masters and they don't know. What advice would you give for somebody that considering to get the masters? You know, what step they should take and how should they go about it?
Well, the first thing is, you know, set up a goal. I just read the Bill Collins book, you know, and Bill Collins, an incredible athlete his whole life, sprinter. I don't know if you know him. He was on the 1980 Olympic team for the U.S. 100 meters. 53, he's still running 11:30s for the 100. And what Bill said in the book, and I agree with him, is that have a plan. You know, you're going to lose weight. You want to be serious. You know, you want to have fun. Have your plan first, and then that first year, first 2 years is a learning curve. and getting yourself in shape. Do not come to beat yourself up. When I came back to the sport, I lifted 3 days a week. I ran 2 days a week. I took 2 days off a week because I had to get an old body with the last remnants of the young in the brain to function in running. So, it was a long, drawn out process, but there are going to be injuries. So make them minor injuries. Don't hurt yourself, because you got guys that come back and they want to do plyometrics and they want to run, 20-second quarter, 20-second 200s. Right? It's too much for the body, and they get hurt really bad and they walk away. Understand that this is a process. Make a plan. Take care of yourself. And little by little, your mind and body will catch up to each other, and you'll have success. Because even if you don't win, this is a great sport. There's a lot of great people in it. I find the Masters community to be a really great group of people. There's some people that are wacky, but they're always wacky people in sports. But for the majority, they're really, really nice people, and it's a lot of fun. We had the North American, Central American, Caribbean games in Puerto Rico in 2010. And they're blasting salsa music, after the meet. And we all went and danced, and they gave salsa lessons, and everybody had a great time dancing and eating after the meet. It was a beautiful track in my OS. It was brand new. I think everybody who ran the 200 ran personal bests, and it was fun, So definitely start off slow.
All right. Awesome. So we're in the final segment now. So just want to talk about a little bit of, just to know a little bit, who were some of your early role models, back in the days, in just watching the 400-meter hurdler or track and field as general.
Alberto Vantorena from Cuba. I was fortunate enough to actually meet him when I was a younger athlete. Got some pictures with him. I think he probably could have been one of the greatest hurdlers who ever lived if he actually ran with his stride pattern and 400 and 800 meter strength. Forget about it. I think that he could have been somebody who could have competed with Edward Moses. Met him even now. When we used to have meets in Puerto Rico, I did the commentary, like I told you. So I had the opportunity to be in his presence. So he was my main person. Another person that I admire very much, Diane Dixon from the U.S., Fred Thompson. Diane personally was a mess, but man, she was a great athlete. Trained really hard, very dedicated. Grace Jackson, another incredible athlete. And I use them because I actually was in their presence. I trained with them. And then one of the first people that I admired again, who taught me about track and field intimately, was Lorna Ford. I don't know if you know, she ran for Barbados. And Lorna was a big time 500 meter indoor runner. And she also was a great influence. I ran against Danny Harris, thought he was great. Quarter milers, let's see. I mean, I like to say Edward Moses, but Edward Moses was beyond my abilities as an athlete. So he's also, he's great. I appreciate all the things that he did. Trying to think. I'm not a big at the worshiping thing, only from the people that I knew,
Definitely understand. All right. Well, yeah, that's a good list right there. You're talking about Grace Jackson, Juan Torino from Cuba. We haven't seen another athlete that displayed the type of versatility, running the 800 and the 400. It's probably never going to be seen again. It's a very tough dubber to do, and during this time that we're in right now, you probably would want to put all your effort into one of those events, because
Japanese Olympic standards are incredibly hard to do.
Yeah.
There's one athlete that I got to say, I had actually, again, because I competed within his realm, Ben Johnson, I thought was incredible. Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
But it was incredibly unfair what they did to him, to tell the truth, because everybody Everybody was on drugs. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember my first international meet going to the bathroom and everybody's injecting each other. I'm like, what the hell is this? I remember going and Anna Kiot, she just finished running a race and she's getting injected right in the bleachers. I was like, what the fuck? I'm taking Joe Weedler vitamins, and everybody's on drugs. But regardless of the drugs, I thought the guy was an incredible athlete.
Yeah, Ben is a good athlete. We'd love to get him on this program to hear from him. But we get him one day. To just because he's doing a lot of things for himself right now. That regardless of the challenge and the obstacle you might face in life, I mean, you still have to live your life and live out your fulfilled life. And I am when I see Ben on Instagram and stuff, he was doing starts. I saw him like last week. Yeah, showing young athletes how to start, in that. So that's just awesome. So just a few more things here. Is there, and obviously you talked about the old Tony and the new Tony. Any regrets, now that you are older, any regrets in track and field that you
Well,
wish you have done, that if you have to do it over?
a whole bunch of regrets. Yeah. My mom died from cancer, and that's actually when I stopped running. Um, and I think that it worked out such because I wanted to go to California. Well, my coach went to California, and I wanted to go out there because I never really. I would say for the majority of my track career, other than my first year of high school, my first year of college, I trained by myself. I went to St. John's University and I competed for them, but I never trained with them, because the coach would just put the workouts on a board and leave. And when it snowed, he wanted us to go shovel the track and run. I'm definitely allergic to snow, so I couldn't do that. So I would go to Pratt and train indoors, And I've traveled around and tried to train by myself. And had I been in a structure, which is really what I needed, I would have ran faster easily, since I am a structured person, being on my own, not knowing enough about the sport, not having a lot of insight. Like, every year I'd go to train like a 10-day training camp with my coach. And that next week I'd fly, but I needed that continuously. So I wish that I had went out to California, kind of stay with my coach full time. That's a regret because it's funny, we said don't do it, and then when I ran at 42 or whatever, I ran 49 for the quarter. He's like, "Dan, you should have come out to California when you were younger." And I wanted to punch him right in the head, But yeah, that's a regret. Other regrets, that's the big one. That's the big one because I don't think as a young person I really reached my full potential in the sport. So that's probably why I run now, because I didn't fulfill my goals and desires when I was younger at it.
Yep. I could see where that can inspire you. A lot of people might not know, but I know that every single person that does something that only about 5 or 10% of people do, they got to have some inspiration.
Yeah.
So that will just bring me to your the next question. Where do you find inspiration when you're just not, I know from a mental standpoint that you have a hectic schedule, and I know what running does for me, and I'm pretty sure for me, I run from I gain about 60% mental and about 40% physical. Because physically I feel like I'm where I need to be, but from a mental standpoint, I see where running helps me to take my brain off from everything. When you're tired, you can't think about nothing. You're just tired. So what do you what inspire you, and where do you find inspiration, when you're just feeling like your discs are bothering you, and you just feel like why am I doing this?
Since there's a lot of pressure at work, there's been a lot of pressure in my life over the last couple of years. I went through a 6.5 year nasty divorce that had a lot of negative complications, or complications in my life. Uh, Visited jail a couple times. Um, the running has been the one consistent, where even though I could feel beat up, tired, frustrated, I go to the track and I don't even want to take that first step, but I take that first step, proceeds to the second and third. The next thing I know, I'm trotting. And as I start to move, this freedom comes over me. And I start to do my drills. And I could tell you just from my drills, I have a good workout or I have a bad workout. And once I just start to move against the challenge of there's the watch, there's the distance, um, and you're able to do it and do it again and do it again, you start to feel positive. There's a positive energy release. There's all the things that I had to deal with during the day to get resolved is being resolved with this positive energy. And my inspiration comes in the racing. I love to race. I used to dream when I wasn't racing that I would go to a track meet, and I used to run for New York Pioneers in New York with another good group of guys. New York Pioneers, our club, and we were a club that wasn't elite, but we weren't regular. We were just here's I'll break it down this way. In one pen relays back when they just had the red American team and the blue American team, we beat one of those teams in a mile relay.
Wow.
So, yeah. And it's a funny race. I let it off. I'll tell you the story. But anyway, the euphoria of the running and just the competition. And I don't mind running with the kids. I don't mind running with the college guys. I don't mind losing to them because I'm not losing to all of them. I'm beating a couple of them little bastards, and I'm 30 years over them. I ran 2 years ago here when I first heard a race, and I've been in races literally where they've asked me over and over again, "You sure you want to run with these guys?" And I'm like, one time in the Army, I ran the quarter, and a woman asked me, "All right, anybody run this time?" And then people get up and, "Hey, anybody run?" They set up the heat. So they say a time, and I get up. I'm an older white guy, and I go stand with the kids. So the woman checking us in just looks at me and she goes, "You sure you want to run with these kids?" I'm like, "Yeah." So then they finish it up, and then she sets them up again. And she turns to me again. She says, "You sure you want to run with these kids?" So I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm not thinking, that she's referring to the fact that I'm much older than them and I am going to look foolish. I'm just thinking, hey, man, that's what I run, and that's why I'm standing here. And then for the third time in front of anybody, she says to me, "Are you sure you want to run with these guys?" I'm like, "Listen, man, I already answered that question 3 fucking times. If I didn't think I could run, I wouldn't be standing here. Okay." So I said, "Yeah, I want to run with these guys." So we get onto the track, and these kids, they're in college. They don't even know which is the starting line. So I'm actually pointing to them which is the starting line on the armor, And the gun goes off. And somebody videotaped. I don't know who videotaped it, but my friend Brady's coaching some master athletes, and he knows me as Junior, and he says, he goes, "Watch what Junior does," because he has the same coach as me. We have the same strategy. And he goes, "Junior's going to beat these guys to the spot." What he means by the spot, indoors, you run to the cone and you cut into lane 1. He goes, "Junior's going to beat these young kids to the spot, and then he's going to dictate the race. Watch." So as we're running, I accelerate enough to beat them to the cone. I come into lane 1 in first. We go through the design. One guy tries to make a move. I run away from him, and I beat these kids, and I run 52 flat or 52 low, whatever it is. It's not for me, it's a great time. For them, it's not really good college quarter milers, obviously. And afterwards, I woke up to the official. I said, "See, I told you I was going to run with these kids." I've had that instance in a few things, but I get off on it, to tell you the truth, because of the competition, because they're not suspecting it. Same thing happened in Broward. I run with the kids. They're like asking me if you're sure. I said, "Listen, man, I'm so sure that I'm going to beat these kids. Okay, don't even worry about it." And then I run and I beat them, and they just said, and he goes, "Wow, I didn't expect that." I said, "Yeah, most people don't expect it, but I did. That's what I told you I was going to do." So the competition.
All right. So let's talk about 2020. I know that you start out the 2020 season on the BAM and set the world record. Just tell us a little bit about not able to run in 2020. How you been, and how, I'm assuming, how did you be, how much did you get affected in terms of your training, and how things are going for you, and how disappointed were you if you were not able to run in 2020?
Well, definitely wanted to carry that momentum from 2019. And then, Millrose is always my first race of the year. And that went well because we set the world record. So I figured, okay, well, I'm going to have a good year. So
Yeah.
came back to Florida and started doing the training. And then the COVID's hit. And we trained, me, Hector, Carl, I think my son Marco was here. And we were training. And, I felt more bad for my friend Hector because he's just started to get involved in masters, and he trains with us, and he's starting to improve a lot, and he was real hot to compete. And of course, so was I because I'm coming off a good year. But as the year progressed and the races became non-existent, we were forced to close shop and make that hard decision not to run. So I gambled. And I told everybody, stop September 1st, we're going to start training. It don't matter, because there's going to be races this year. So we started September 1st. So I'm actually treating this year like even by summertime, if there's a couple of races, then I'll be ready for them. And I would like to, like I said, I'd like to do that goal that I said, 57 and 57 for the hurdles. I think would be my swan song. It would be my last. So that.
All right, awesome. So I know you was recognized as the Florida Masters Athlete of the Year.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that accomplishment, and give us a little detail of you being the Athlete of the Year? I'm pretty sure, I don't know who was the U.S. Masters Athlete of the Year, but I'm pretty sure you was considered. You was in that nomination based on setting the world record. I know there are probably a lot more Masters runners doing plenty of event. Maybe 100, 200 doing double dose. But tell us a little bit about you being the Masters Athlete of the Year in Florida, and additionally, just let us know what is it like when you guys go internationally, knowing that the Masters are not really, the federation literally don't pay for your trip. So how does the all entail, just competing for Team USA on an international scene?
Well, the thing from Florida is nice. Actually, a friend of mine, Andrea Collier, I think her name is. She had nominated me for the Florida thing. I didn't even know, and she's like, "Tony, you live in Florida?" I said, "Yeah." Next thing I know, they gave me an award, which was very nice of them. It was very, very nice little luncheon that we had at Anson. But also, the male athlete of 2019 was Charles Ali. That guy's incredible. I can't say nothing. But then I forget who the woman was. But actually, I was also voted M55 male athlete of the year for the year. So I did get recognition from the U.S. But I have to tell you, we did a Zoom meeting, which was very nice, And the only bad thing about the Zoom meeting was that there was a number of athletes that I had never heard of or seen in different age groups. One was a woman, and unfortunately, I can't remember her name, who broke the world record 5 times. I don't know, 5 different events, but I wanted to understand who she was, So I looked up on Facebook and stuff, and then that to me, I broke a world record. This woman broke 5 in 1 year. That's come on. 5 is bigger than 1. I know this for a fact. I went to school. So that was incredible. And I think somebody like that needs a hell of a lot of recognition because it's not a joke, It's not a joke. So that's cool. USA, in that respect, they honor you with those awards, and they're really nice awards. I mean, we got a drink bottles, I got a placard, I got a spike bag, some nice stuff that they send. But we get the USA Olympic uniforms.
Okay, courtesy, complimentary.
Yeah, they give them to you for free, which is very nice.
Okay.
And then they were also starting, like, if you got a medal at the World Championship, they started to give people money up
Oh,
to $1,000. So that's
oh,
also very generous that they do that. I think that's really great, But I don't know how big the pool is. I've never gotten the money, which is fine, because I pay for myself. But to go internationally is a lot of fun. The I haven't gone international yet as an American athlete. I've always gone as a Puerto Rican athlete,
okay,
and
okay.
I hung
But
out.
I'm pretty sure you guys are friends, because
Yeah,
this is the
absolutely.
Masters,
No. I can tell you, when you get international, everybody's friendly as hell. It's a
Yeah.
really wonderful community, and some of the events, France, for instance, 2015, this was about as professional as any meet I'd ever been to in my whole life. In the sense that the officials that they used were the Olympic officials for France. So the officiating was excellent. They put you in your tent. They tell you exactly what's going to happen. And for hurdles, as well as I do, you need to set up your first hurdle. You got to set up your blocks. You got to give people time. In Italy, in my first World Championships that I won, they didn't give us any time. They didn't let us set up the hurdles. They didn't let us start. As a matter of fact, I had to steal a hurdle, bring it to the parking lot to go over a hurdle. And then of course I had to share it with all the other athletes. It was not a very good meet, Riccione. But in the meets afterwards, USA and Finland, they've given us adequate time. But France, they really went out of their way. It was run so professionally. You had a track next to the stadium track. You had straightaways, you had hurdles. Everything you needed to be ready to race. And the community, Europe, it's nuts. You got 6,000 to 8,000 athletes. When the hell do you run the quarter where there's 12 heats to a quarter at M50? So and guys that are running now. The first race is usually the give me race. You just run fast enough to get to the next one. But in the events where it's really it's really close. You got to run the semifinals. If you don't run the semifinals, you ain't make it to the finals. So it can become very competitive on the European. South America and the Caribbean is not as much, but in Europe they take it very seriously. So the facilities have always been A-rated. So it's great, and you have a real USA uniform with the sweats and rain suit. They give, besides the speed suit, they give you the rain suit. For $5, they gave you like these the grays, like the heavy cloth ones. I got this beautiful Nike fabric top. I don't even like to wear it because it's so nice, to tell you the truth. But it's very comfortable. So it's cool.
All right, awesome. So obviously you probably got a lot of medals. How do you treat those medals? Where do you display them? Or what's the, we're not setting up for anybody to come and take your medals, but we're always it's always I cherish some of my medals. I didn't at the time when I won them. I just put them in a box. But now that I'm older, everyone means something to me.
A lot of my world championship medals are in a storage in New York in a bag. My medals that I've gotten since here, they're in boxes and stuff like that. Like if you came to my apartment, there's no medal or sneaker boxes. I don't know. I feel shame for showing that stuff off. I might be wrong. Even like I just got that M55 stuff. It's in the box that it came in.
Yeah.
I'm even afraid to take it out. The Florida thing, I got the plaque, but it's behind the TV. I don't know. I should do it. Like there's a gentleman here in Florida. I won't mention his name, but the guy's completely delusional. He's a narcissist. He's nuts. And I was working with these young kids, and he won a world championship for the M45 quarter in Australia, which didn't have a huge turnout, and the best quarter mile in the world didn't go. So he won the race, and for whatever reason, when you go to his house in a gold box or a glass box, he has the spikes with the medal there for display, and the certificate they give you for world championship. And he told these young kids, "Yeah, this is fun. I broke when I was world champ in the quarter." And he told them that they gave him $150,000.
Yeah.
So, they came to me and I was training him a little bit, and they were telling me about how he had this, this guy is an incredible athlete. He's a world champion. They gave him 150,000. He has his shoes and his medal in a glass box and all these things. And they told me this story so many times. And I finally one day said to them, and this is where I'm bad. I finally said, you know what? That's not true. They don't give you $150,000 for a world championship medal in the Masters. In the Olympics, they don't even give you that. He's lying to you. It's nice that he's got it in a box and everything, but it's not true. And they're like, no, but he told me, and then I said, I know what he told you, but he told you it was a lie. And they're like, well, how do you know? I said, because I have 7 world championships, and if I had that kind of money, I would have bought a house, okay? And like, really? You got 7 world championships? I was like, yeah. And they're like, how come you don't say anything? I said, because it's irrelevant here. I'm not here to tell you about my medals. I'm here to teach you how to run. So, I guess I failed. But then there's some people that make me nuts in the Masters. I have to unfriend them on Facebook. Some of these people selling products and writing books, and they haven't done anything, You want to laugh? Here's the funny thing. I run primarily the 400 hurdles, the 400, and the mile relay. And in every instance that I give an opinion about training for the 400, I'm told I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm blasted. People have to stick up for me, like Renee Henderson, and I'm like, wow, man, this is really all I do is the 400. Now, not that I know everything, but I have a little bit of a grasp, It's the race I run quite effectively for a number of years already. 2005 till now, it's like 15 years I've been running that. It's longer than my young career.
All right. Well, hopefully, when you break some more records, you could bring one of your medals on the program. We're definitely gonna have you back. You have a long way. A lot more accomplishment. I know a lot of the championship was pushed back, so you're gonna have a lot of things, a lot of good years coming up. 2022, 23. I know they got the indoor and the outdoor and such on. So we're looking forward for to see those medals. You probably could display a few for us. So
some of them are beautiful actually. The one in Italy is hand painted. They hand painted the Italian flag, the colors on the medal. I think that's in a beautiful red velvet box it is as well. That was one of my favorite medals. That was beautiful. And the US medals were nice. The French ones, for whatever reason, as soon as I saw it, damn, I want those medals, They were real nice.
All right. So just moving along here. We got gonna wrap it up here. I know we're getting into the 2-hour mark. So I want for you, another request. I know you talk a lot about your mom. My mama passed away from cancer, and it's always wish you got more time, but if you were supposed to talk to your mom, let her know how much you miss her, or it's something that you love to say to her that just by missing her, can you be kind enough to share a few words about her and what she means to you?
I can't talk about it.
Okay. All right. So gonna respect that. So just it's I'm feeling the nerves running through my blood right now, because as I said, I've lost my mom pretty much more than half of my life, and I'm somewhat inspired by it, just trying to do things that I know will make her proud. But the final question is just what you want to be remembered for as an athlete and as a person. And just a 2-part question.
As an athlete, I want to remember as a guy who really appreciated the sport, really supported my teammates, was friendly to everybody, and shared. Never that I'm an egomaniac because I had more fun messing around with people than anything else. But also that I was a legit athlete. You know, I worked real hard at it, and the medals that I've won and the championships and stuff, you know, I did because I worked real hard and because Edwin Moses is not running anymore. You know, so things like that. As a person, I want to be remembered as somebody who kept his word, supported his family, ate shit when he had to eat shit, spoke when he had to speak, loves his children very much, and was a rock for a lot of people. And I think that's my mom was my rock, and my coach is my rock. And I had my godfather, Alipio Vélez in Puerto Rico, who raised me when I was a kid. And those are my three rocks. You know, I only got one rock left, but to the people I was close with, I want to be considered to be their rock as well. You know, I'm the type of person that anybody could rely on. You know, perfect, I'm not. But if you're in a pinch and nobody's there to help, then I'm always there to help. I'm always there to assist. But I do it. I don't do it half-assed. You know, I do it with real intention.
All right. All right. With that said and be done, I personally just was so happy when I reached out to you just to for you to share the program, share some of your experience on the program. I know that you probably was a little surprised. I remember you saying, "Was this for me?"
You know, I get these crazy posts sometimes when people, I don't know if they're nuts or not, you know. So I'm like, you want to interview me? Are you sure? You know?
Yeah. But I'm sure, just always remember people are inspired by what you do. People are seeing what you're doing. We're living in a world where there's so much influence and positivity and things that people do, on social media. Everybody always want to look up to see what the other person ahead of them done,
Yeah.
something to target off. And for me, when I start doing some research on getting into the running, I didn't know anybody. I just didn't want to just start running, and I want to have fun. So, I said, you know what? Let me see if I can see what these guys are, that are doing it, just to get some expectation, because obviously, as I said, I run professionally for 15 years, and I'm at the point now where, again, this is a passion. It's a mental and physical. It's good for me. It's a sport also that I enjoy. So I enjoy the sport. So if I have the health and strength, I want to continue to do it. So with that said and be done, I was so happy that you was able to give us some of the insight from, especially from a person that has been competing for Puerto Rico. Then now you're competing for the U.S. And you are still in your prime because you're still setting world record.
Yeah.
So it's always good, and you're probably going to break that record again. You know,
Records, let them sit there because the record was still for 24 years, the one I broke. Okay.
all right. So my goal, the one that I'm chasing, it's that I'm going to try to accomplish. It's 54 and change.
Hmm.
I believe that's well in my reach. But being a masters athlete, it's a lot more than your skill and all of that. Now you gotta train, you gotta stay healthy, keep your muscles right, and get the proper treatment. And it's a lot more involved now. So it's if you're able to do those things well, you can perform, because you don't want to train for 6 months and then the 7 month you can't go, and and all of that. So, but I'm so happy that you was able to share some of, as I said, some of the inside out. You've competed for a great club. We want to give a shout out to Southwest Sprinters Track Club. They're one of the better clubs currently, and they are leading the way. They have inspired a lot of other clubs. Are watching to see what they're doing, and you guys were getting national attention. So whenever you get to the point where you're featured. You guys was featured pretty big at the Melrose game. At the Penn Relays, you guys got a lot more features. In terms of the national championship, I don't see a lot in terms of thing, but we know we got these masters groups that are out there, and every single masters athlete always share their competition too. So it's always good to follow some of the masters athlete. But yeah, on behalf of Mr. Ian Thomas, he's in Jamaica right now, just visiting his mom. And we wasn't able to share the program with me today, but just technical circumstance. But I'm glad I was able to hold it down. And so Tony, man, I want to wish you the best of luck, the best of success in 2021 and beyond. Stay healthy, keep inspiring, and just you're already doing what you're doing. So all you got to do is just keep doing it. I'll be looking out for you. I'll be watching you. I hope to meet you soon at one of these events. Not sure what's the plan for indoor, but I'm pretty sure that once COVID is under control, it's gonna be I believe it'll still be a transition process. In the next couple of months, once we get this thing under control and we start to eliminate people, get the vaccine and things like that.
Hopefully by the summertime or spring,
Yeah.
late spring, that we're done.
Yeah.
And again, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for the interest, and thanks for letting me speak. Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
Okay, man, and thank you. Have a great, great, great evening. All
You
right.
too. Bye.